take your piece of electrical tape. Now, if this is really you know, covered in paint, covered in oil, what I suggest doing is grabbing yourself a piece of electrical tape, cutting it in half lengthwise, and then wrapping it up to make sure that the eyes are held in place. I'll just go ahead and put that on there. Now you want to make sure that none of the electrical tape sits down below this line right here. If it sits down below that line where the feed neck is at, it'll cause the bottom of your shells to bow out a little bit. Sometimes it won't even fit into some feed necks. So we've got that on there. Our drive cone is wound. Now what we're going to do is get ready to put this back into the gun. Left out a piece of tape here. This little piece of tape here prevents your wires from getting caught when you put your shell back together. Okay, now what you want to do is go ahead and put in your spring. It's back in. Go ahead and put in your beads. Okay. Now we're going to set it down into the loader. Now inside the loader, you're going to see there's 2 tabs on the catch cup, and there's 2 tabs, places for them to go right inside of the shell. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the back plate and get that ready. Now go ahead and line up your back plate. Now a tip here is that you want to make sure that as you're putting this back together again, that when you push the board down, you want to make sure that the back plate is lined up and it slides down with it. It's very easy at this point to break your button. Okay. And it just slides right in. So now as you see, this is still loose. This needs to be put into the tabs. Now what you can do is look down inside there and you should be able to see how to line this board up. There we go. Now what you want to do is you want to look at, as you're pushing this board down, you want to look at it from the side here and see if it's lined up perfectly up and down. Sometimes if it's bending forward or bending backwards, it's not in that groove that's put into the shell to hold the board in place. And once that's in place, you should be able to take a look at it and see if it's lined up perfectly up and down, which this one is. Now one of the most important things when putting the loader back together is you got to be careful that you don't pinch your wires between these shells. There's a notch that's put right here into the shell where you can run your battery wire from this area here out to the front. It's right there, so just always make sure that this battery wire is right there. And something else too, another pinch point is right here where the shells come together, where the screw comes together. A lot of people have a tendency to pinch eye wires here. So just make sure that this is clear and make sure that this is clear. This area right here is the biggest place where people destroy their loaders, where they pinch wires, is this whole area right here. Just be really careful to make sure none of the wires are caught. You can take one of your screws and just kind of push the wires back, get them out of the way. There we go. You just want to make extra sure that all of the wires are pushed out of the way. And now, I see a lot of people sometimes trying to put these shells back together again with the screws in it. It's a nightmare. Don't even try to do that. Just take the screws out. Worry about lining them up later. Now, what you can do, go ahead and get your spring put back into place. Put your spring in first. Then I usually put the pin and then take the lid and get ready to drop it down. Now obviously the little spring tab should be in front of the lid so that it holds it open when you open it while playing. Because you're going to need a little bit of help to push that out of the way. Now you can see if you hold the tab or hold the spring tension is on there. That's how you know that you did that correctly. Now what you're going to go ahead and do is take the top piece and put it on. Now the first thing I always line up is the board and the plate. So line that up first. And then once that's lined up, line up the back plate, the board, and then line up the pin for your lid. Once all of those are lined up, you should be able to go ahead and press fit this together. Once it's pretty close together, you can go ahead and close your lid. That'll hold it together while you kind of maneuver everything else into place. Okay, one last check. Go ahead and check inside there. Make sure that the battery wire is not pressed. Now this is also a good time to replace your batteries and make sure that you did everything correctly. And we did. Okay. We did everything correctly. Now what I usually do is I put the battery cover on the front. Go ahead and check around the loader. Make sure that there's no gaps. Everything looks seamless. And if everything does, all right. Here we go. Now we go ahead and, like I said, we take the halo has 4 long screws. The long screws go in the top, the 2 back near the board, and in the middle. So we'll go ahead and put those in. Okay. Then we've got 2 medium screws. The medium screws go in the front. One goes up at the front here, holds the front of the loader together. The other one goes at the bottom where the battery is at. And I'm going to show you a tip on how to prevent your loader shells and how to prevent your battery door from breaking. Okay. When you're putting in your battery, it's very important. If you look here on your battery cover, there's a very sharp piece of plastic right here that's meant to hold your batteries in place that prevents them from shaking around. Okay, what you always want to do is when you're putting your batteries in, you want to make sure that your battery harness is in the top position, not at the bottom. If it's at the bottom, this little tab here is going to cut into these wires, and as you're playing, it's going to work its way through the wires, and it's going to end up breaking your loader. So always make sure that the battery harness is in the top position when you put it into your gun. And you also want to make sure that there's no wires caught underneath or to the side. There's plenty of space around the sides of your loader for the wires to go. Now something that I've always done is while you're playing, this can actually break your battery door when with the batteries wiggling loose like that. What I've always done is I take a business card and insert it to the side here, and this not only prevents your batteries from wiggling back and forth, this also prevents if you end up falling or you're diving in the game, one of your batteries popping loose. Now you can see that slides on with no effort at all. Nothing shaking, nothing rattling around. Go ahead and put the battery in. And that's it. That shows you how to take apart, clean, and service your halo. If you have any questions, email us over at techpb.com. Thank you very much.